KFI AM 640. It's later with Mo Kelly. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. It's good to see Stefan back in the studio. Where were you, man?
Taking care of business, Just had to, get some stuff done. Not necessarily a day off.
I don't want to know about your personal business. I'm just saying, where were you?
Oh, I was at home, but I was, bouncing all over the city, just getting stuff done. Mm-hmm. And, helping my dad with some stuff. And, it's nice to have that extra day. That's why I think we should have 3-day weekends.
Aren't you a good son?
Yeah.
Aren't you a good son?
I try.
And Mark Ronner, good evening, sir. How are you, my friend?
I had the most interesting day today. You want to hear this?
I actually do. Go ahead.
Ron Harper, the actor from the Planet of the Apes TV series, Garrison's Gorillas, and a bunch of other things, he passed recently, and I met his daughter and got one of his old scripts today. It was the coolest thing ever.
That's probably a wonderful keepsake.
Yeah, Garrison's Gorilla script from the 60s. Very cool.
All right. Tawala Sharp also joins me in the studio. There's a reason I'm introducing everyone. I will tell you in just a second.
Okay. How you doing? All right.
Doing well.
That's good.
See, it's good that the whole team is together because next week, when we have the Later with Mo Kelly pre-Halloween soiree, the whole team will be together. Mark Ronner, you don't know this, but I had a conversation with program director Robin Bertolucci, and she informed me they worked it out. You will be upstairs with us doing the news.
I was going to wait and ask you about that off the air, but since
I love surprises.
The band is back together.
How's that going to work exactly?
They will have someone down here, the floor below, pressing buttons if you need audio to fire off, that kind of thing.
I see.
And if it doesn't work, it'll just sound horrible. It'll be all on you. But that's not my problem.
Well, that's a good thing.
You got to work out the logistics.
I've got nerves of steel. Are you kidding me?
All right, then. So you should not be fazed by any of this.
Except for the super spreader part. But I'm going to come up with a costume that incorporates a mask. That's my plan.
Just come as a surgeon. It would be just fine.
Oh, yeah. An OBGYN. Perfect.
Yes.
I just said surgeon, okay? I didn't get that specific. But if you want to be a gynecologist or something, sure, knock yourself out.
It was just the first thing that came into my mind.
Just don't be any of the ones that have been arrested or in jail, okay?
No, I'm against jail for the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah.
We'll have an update on the party before the end of the show. But I wanted to start with this. Did you see the news today that the editorial board of the LA Times is not making an endorsement in the presidential election? And this will be for the first time since 2004. It's odd on top of odd because the paper, which is the largest in California, did publish a slate of endorsements back on September 10th for everything and everyone with the exception of the presidential election. And it got me thinking. It got me thinking about whether it was really important that print outlets or even actors, actresses, entertainers, rappers, radio hosts, does it really matter whether we endorse someone or who we endorse? Me personally, just in case you didn't know, I don't endorse political candidates. I refuse. I don't even donate to campaigns. The reason being, one, I want to stay in an emotional space where I can just discuss the issues, and my personal preferences or politics are not unduly influenced in the discussion of things. I obviously do political commentary for a number of outlets, and I am never going to tell you, and that could be you, Mark Ronner, or you listening in your car, or you listening on your smartphone. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. And conversely, I wouldn't want you to tell me who to vote for. I think we all can do our own due diligence and should do our own due diligence. But it's a fascinating thing where we are now in the endorsement era where we somehow don't find it strange that a rapper is endorsing a political candidate, or an actress is endorsing a political candidate, or a singer is endorsing a political candidate. Heretofore, yes, you would have your print outlets. They would have an editorial board, which is different from the newsroom. And this goes back to the whole civics discussion and also the understanding of media. When a place or an outlet like the LA Times or New York Times should endorse a candidate, that's coming from the editorial board. That's not the news department. There's a distinction with a difference. But when that endorsement is made, in previous decades, I wouldn't say in previous years, but decades, it carried weight and people would take it to heart. Now, the endorsement by anyone and everyone, I don't think it really means anything, and I don't think any votes would be changed. Honestly, no disrespect to the Times, I don't think any votes would have been changed if the Times had come out and said Kamala Harris is the person we endorse for president. It might have raised some eyebrows if they said Donald Trump is the person we're endorsing for president, if only because for the past 4 elections, the LA Times has endorsed a Democratic candidate. But that's something that I felt was noteworthy, that the LA Times was not endorsing a presidential candidate. There is conversation and speculation as to the reasons why, possibly, and I'm saying this is a part of the speculation. I don't have any evidence to support this. Speculation is that the owner of the Los Angeles Times, who is extremely wealthy, that the endorsement would conflict with his personal politics. I don't have anything to substantiate that, and the LA Times has already released a statement that they do not discuss the internal discussion surrounding such decisions. I just don't think that it would have changed any minds or influenced any voters, and people can take from that whatever they want. But it has, for me, another internal conversation about whether endorsements really matter or mean anything to anyone in 2024, given the political landscape. And I guess that's up for everyone else to debate, but we could put all the endorsements that Kamala Harris has on paper and conversely Donald Trump, and I don't think anyone would care. Now, you can say some people may say, like, the endorsements from the Teamsters Union or this organization or that organization may send a signal to the larger voting public where the winds are blowing. But that's on a very, very small level. I don't know if there are many endorsements which actually move the meter. I mentioned the Teamsters because I think that's one of the endorsements which could move the meter. But I don't think there are many others. Mark, are there any ones that you would think of that really make a difference?
I'm not so sure about that. I think the influence of newspaper endorsements is waning, like you suggest. I have here an article from Semaphore saying that 2 sources at the Times confirmed that it was the owner, which is strange, of the LA Times that forbade the endorsement. So I should probably give you some context for this. In a normal newspaper, the editorial board is very different from the reporting, the journalist staff, right?
Absolutely.
In the sense that all the shoe leather reporters generally, at least at the Seattle Times, where I spent my longest stretch, they regarded the editorial board as
with contempt.
As a bunch of monocle and ascot wearing, head up their tailpipe types with opinions that they constantly had to apologize to people for when they were out in public. So when you add the actual owner of the paper on top of that, nixing anything like that's a strange piece of interference there from the owner, who's not a journalist or even on the editorial board that I'm aware of. I have to read more about this, but that's the way it looks to me right now.
Well, that is a big discussion in and of itself. If you have owners who have no real role in either the editorial or the reporting, inserting personal opinion into the conduct of a news outlet, that is a slippery slope which should really concern anyone and everyone.
I've seen calls on Twitter for mass walkouts and resignations at the Times. I doubt they're going to do that because they need a paycheck.
Is there anyone else to walk out at this point? I'm being very serious.
Well, no, I mean, we're way into the ongoing extinction of the newspaper business right now. So, you walk out on this job, see what else you can get. It's not going to happen. So the guy who signs the paychecks says, don't do this. What are their options? They don't have a lot.
Mm-hmm. So much more to talk about. Obviously, we'll get into OC Supervisor Andrew Do, who's going to plead guilty to federal bribery charges. I tell people all the time, when the feds come knocking and they indict you, they already have you. You might as well start thinking about how soon you're going to plead guilty. Got a big show tonight. Don't want to go anywhere. It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting more and more excited with each passing day, awaiting Game 1 of the World Series, the 12th meeting between the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. This particular meeting is really special. One, because of the obvious. It's been, 43 years. Since 1981 was the last time that these two franchises met in the Fall Classic. And also, you have arguably the most valuable player of both leagues on the respective teams. You have Aaron Judge for the Yankees and, of course, Shohei Ohtani for the Dodgers. And both teams are the two best teams in baseball. It's rare that you will have the two best teams make it all the way to the World Series. It's even more rare that you have the two best teams representing the two largest markets and the two most historic franchises reach the World Series. But it's all going to happen here, and it starts on Friday. Put it all together, you will be in traffic hell on Friday. I don't care if you live in Orange County and have no desire or intention to come anywhere close to Los Angeles County. The traffic is going to be horrendous. In fact, you might as well start driving to Dodger Stadium right now. Just camp out outside the park for the next 3 days. That way you can avoid the traffic. And it may like a sound that I'm trying to be funny, but there will be people camping out in advance because of the traffic. And that's if you can even get a ticket. The price gouging, of course, is through the roof. Thousands and thousands of dollars are going to be spent on tickets just so people can say that they were there for game one. And I'm saying thousands and thousands of dollars for tickets in the rafters. Don't get me wrong. There's not a bad seat in Dodger Stadium, but you're going to overpay for whatever seat that you have in Dodger Stadium. And here's something else to remember. The first pitch for game one, which is at Dodger Stadium, will be at 5:08 p.m. on a Friday, 5:08 p.m., meaning that if you want to be in your seat for the first pitch, you have to be on the road probably before 3 o'clock on a Friday. Look, imagine Friday traffic with no World Series going on. Imagine Friday traffic with no game at Dodger Stadium going on. It's always hella bad on Friday. And it's always worse trying to get through downtown. And now you're saying that you have to get through downtown or to downtown on a Friday for a 5:08 start to the World Series? That's going to be hell on wheels. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. The only thing worse than that is trying to get to iHeartMedia Studios. Because, Stefan, I don't know about you, but I'm leaving the house usually I'm leaving the house maybe between 3:15, 3:30 at the latest. And I usually hit downtown around 4:15. Not on this Friday. Either I have to leave at 1 o'clock, no exaggeration, because it's going to take me about 2 hours, all the people who are going to try to get to the stadium real early, or I can just sort of go up to 405, and that's no guarantee. That takes me way out of the way, and I have to go over the hill, down into the valley, then sweep around the 101 to the 134, and there's no guarantee that that's going to be any better because the 134 and the 5 are going to be backed up because of all the people trying to get into downtown. There's no good way to go, so I may just have to just grin and bear it and leave at 1 o'clock. Oh, but wait, it gets worse. It gets worse. The Lakers are going to be playing the Phoenix Suns at Crypto.com Arena at about 7 p.m. So if you're trying to get to the Lakers game and you would normally leave at, let's say, 5 o'clock to get to a 7 p.m. start, you likely are not going to be able to get to that game on time. Friday is going to be a veritable cluster truck. It's going to be really bad. Really, really bad for you, me, and everyone. So if you don't have tickets, just stay home. If you don't have work, just stay home. Don't even try it. Now, I don't know what Mark is going to do because he, like me, has to be here at a certain time. And Mark, you normally get here
a little before 6 most nights.
And that's going to be impossible on Friday.
Yeah, I read about that before we started today, and it filled me with dread. I have no idea. What are you going to – work from home that day?
No, because we're doing name that movie called Classic Game. I got to do that in studio.
Okay, so here's what we do. I spend the night at your place.
Sure.
And then we drive in early Friday morning.
We can put you in the room with the dogs. Sure.
I don't know if I like that. I mean, the polite thing would be for you to change your sheets and offer me your bed while you sleep elsewhere. But
what is my wife going to do? Is she going to be okay with that?
We can work all that out. I don't want to make things weird.
Okay.
That's the last thing I want. But we have to come up with we have to come up with a plan though, because that's going to be hellish. Just imagine the number of middle fingers flying on Friday on the road.
It's going to be one of those days where you have to have the utmost patience. You're going to have it, or your day is going to end horribly.
Yeah, because I've got the rundown here. I was going to read it later on. The World Series at Dodger Stadium and other major events. Worst traffic day of the year in L.A. So there's that game. Lakers host Phoenix Suns at Crypto.com Arena. At the Coliseum, there's USC football. Inglewood has 3 events. SoFi Stadium is hosting something else.
It's all bad everywhere.
This is nuts.
It's all bad. And coming up the 405, what I was talking about, that would be the closest freeway outlet for me, but I'd have to pretty much drive by SoFi Stadium and all of that traffic trying to come in for their 7:30 p.m. events.
So, we're going to have to get one of Tawala's air taxis, I think.
Which don't exist as of yet.
Okay, a little speed bump, but we'll figure it out.
No, but it's true. The USC Trojans are hosting Rutgers at the Coliseum at 8 p.m. So there are 2 sides to this. There's just trying to get wherever you're trying to go if you're going to any one of these events. And let's say you're getting out of the Dodger game and it ends normal time, which would be 7:30, 8 p.m., 2.5-hour game. You would be leaving downtown when people are still coming downtown for the Lakers game. They're still going near downtown for the USC Trojans game, which starts at 8 p.m. And if you're on the Inglewood side of town, like me, when I'm trying to go home, well, they have concerts at the Kia Forum as well as SoFi Stadium. The worst traffic day in the history of Los Angeles. I'm calling it right now. The worst ever.
I know.
And if we're lucky, we'll have an earthquake too.
Here's the plan. You buy us an RV.
No. What I can do is I can schedule an Uber and send Stefan to pick you up.
Oh, yeah. Stefan, are you still doing that? Because that'd be great.
That's a day I would never want to work, because even though the surging would probably be pretty high, once you get to those areas, you're just sitting in traffic forever, and it's like almost not worth it.
It's bad for just SoFi Stadium. Yeah. It's bad. Now that you have Intuit and you have the Kia Forum and the YouTube Theater, it is very, very, very bad. When I get home on Friday, I'm not trying to go anywhere, and that's assuming I get home Friday night and not Saturday morning. No exaggeration. It's really, really going to be bad. It's one of those things where I may just hang out at the studio until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, maybe even midnight, because where am I trying to go anywhere fast?
Okay, we book a hotel room somewhere near the station.
Now you're making it weird.
Well, we can have separate rooms and separate beds.
You said a hotel room, so I take you at your word.
A hotel room apiece?
Okay, better. That's better. Okay.
Yeah, there's got to be a hotel near here, although I've never seen one. I mean, we're right next to Warner's. There's got to be plenty of places to stay.
No, you probably have to go into Burbank proper. We're right on the edge, so we'd have to go down towards downtown Burbank Center.
And you could probably write this off. So if you could just book those and put them on your card.
Sure.
That'll be great. I appreciate that.
Okay. It'll be in my name, though.
Yeah, sure. I'd like a larger bed, though, if you don't mind. I roll around a lot.
You got it. Anything else?
Some room service would be really cool. And a bottle
prostitute
of
food. In call, out call. What do you want?
No, just the food.
Just the food.
Just the food.
Okay. All right.
And a bottle of Absolute would be good too. I have trouble sleeping. If it's
not Kettle One, Absolute,
whatever's convenient for you. I would hate for you to go to any severe extra trouble.
Stephanie, you want to get in on this before we go to break? Anything?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Okay, so you want to get in on the room as well?
Yeah.
Can we have some women at least?
What? Where would these come from?
I know people.
That's right. He doesn't know people.
You know we're on the air right now, right?
Oh, I know. But if you're going to book a hotel room, we might as well just go all the way.
I see. Well, that's...
no pun intended.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Okay. Look at the time. Well done. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere.
You can do it.
On the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
You've probably heard the KFI newsroom report on this over the course of the day, talking about Orange County Supervisor Andrew Do, who was being investigated regarding where county funding had been moved, and also an organization which was spearheaded by his daughter. And originally, because of that investigation, Andrew Do refused to step down, and he said, you know how they always say, I'm going to fight this. In the end, I'm going to be found innocent, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. I look forward to my day in court, whatever he said. Well, he's agreed now to plead guilty to a felony charge of conspiracy to commit bribery, admitting that in exchange for more than $550,000 in bribes, he cast votes on the Board of Supervisors beginning in 2020 that directed more than $10 million in COVID relief funds to the Viet America Society, where coincidentally his daughter worked. Now, this is the thing which really bothers me, beyond the misappropriation of funds and the malfeasance. He could face up to 5 years in prison. Up to. That's the maximum. White collar crime. 5 years in prison for moving maybe, $11 million. $11 million. Prosecutors said some of the county money received by the Viet America Society, or VAS, was ultimately funneled through an unnamed outside company that made monthly $8,000 payments to the daughter, Rhiannon Do, totaling $224,000. The company also transferred more than $380,000 to an escrow company, and Rhiannon Do used that money, according to prosecutors, to purchase a $1 million home in Tustin. Shout out to Tustin. Other funds were allegedly routed back to Andrew Do to make property tax payments on properties owned by him and his wife. The whole family was benefiting. While another $15,000 was used to pay one of Andrew Do's credit card bills, because you got to keep that credit rating more than $11 million just by my calculations. And as I said, he may face up to 5 years in jail. 5. Now, if he tried to rob someone, armed robbery, George Gascon aside, you're probably looking at more than 5 years. 5 years for about $11 million. And that's what we know, okay? I don't believe that prosecutors know everything that this guy did. And it seems like he wasn't all that smart, because all this is easily traceable. I mean, at least be a somewhat smart criminal. You're going to divert all this money, and you're going to give it to your daughter, and you're going to buy a house. The paper trail on this is thick. It's not real hard. It's not like he put it in the Cayman Islands. It's not like he put it somewhere like in a refrigerator, like Democratic Congressman Richard Jefferson did. It's not like he put it anywhere where it would be difficult to trace it back to him. I mean, at least Bob Menendez had gold bars, and he would have gotten away with it if he didn't have the gold bars in his house where everyone could find them. But Do is going to go to jail, prison for at most 5 years. And I think that is what stuck in my craw. Not that he did it, because corruption is not new, and you give someone the power to move that much money, someone's going to be tempted, and someone is going to be corrupted by it, and probably someone's going to do something which is illegal. But to only have 5 years at most, and with the calculation is that he's pleading guilty in advance, which means he likely will not get the maximum. So in theory, he could get maybe 4 years, be out in 2. That seems like almost a worthy exchange for a criminal. If you told me I could steal $11 million, probably more, because I don't assume that they know all of what he's stolen, and you give me at max 5 years, but I'll probably get less for pleading guilty and not going through all the hassle of a trial, yeah, I'm quite sure a lot of people would do it. And that's why I think a lot of elected officials can be corrupted, because the penalties do not match the crime. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And honest to goodness, I had never heard the phrase pink cocaine until just a few days ago. Not that I know a lot about drugs. Like, I've never had crack, but I've heard of it. I've never, had meth, but I've heard of it. I've never heard of most of the drugs out there. But, I've never had any of the drugs out there, but I've heard of most of them. But pink cocaine, I had no point of reference. And I'm finding out neither did a lot of people. So we're going to learn something together when we come back.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI Mo Kelly live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And let me just say up the top, I've never experimented with drugs. I've never tried cocaine. I've never tried ecstasy. I've never tried any of those things. I've done maybe a half a joint and half an edible in my life and alcohol. That's it. And working in the music industry during the time in which I did, that was no small accomplishment. I can't speak for Tuwala's experience as far as what he saw, but I've seen someone OD. Drugs, every drug that you can think of was ever present. If I wanted to get a cocaine habit, I could have very easily gotten a cocaine habit and not even been able to afford one because it was everywhere. What stopped me from using cocaine or any other drug was abject fear. Fear of being arrested in a sting, fear of ODing, dying, fear of all the negative things which could happen with drugs. Just straight up fear. It wasn't like Nancy Reagan just say no. No, I was seeing it in real time, people ruining their lives because of drugs. So I never had any desire to use any hard drugs. That said, I thought that I was aware of most of the exotic drugs. Yes, they change over the years, but at least I was aware of them by name. I had never heard of pink cocaine. And from what I read, it's ketamine and usually psychedelics. But it can also include ecstasy, methamphetamine, and other downers. And I think about that separately, individually, dangerous. Put them all together, surely you're going to die. Maybe not the first time or second time, but you're definitely going to die. And I'm talking about this in relation to the death of the former One Direction singer, Liam Payne. When I saw that story, I'm not going to get into any type of conspiracy theories of why he died or how he died. I'm just talking about what we know from the toxicology report. That to me says that death was easier than not, especially if you're in a hotel room and you are left to your own devices. I don't know who else was in the room with him, but just left to your own devices. Like Tuwala, I kid with him. He was saying like he doesn't go near the rail sober on a cruise ship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I have this little thing where I don't usually go into hotel rooms with balconies if I plan to drink for that reason. And I can only imagine when you have someone who is under the influence of pink cocaine, which means a variety, smorgasbord of drugs, what could it have led to? Now, I see the face of Mark Ronner, and whenever he shows me a face, I have to ask, what, Mark? What is your commentary?
I don't have any commentary. I'm enjoying listening to your whatever it is you're doing. Here's what's funny.
Whatever.
What is you doing? So dismissive.
I unlike you, I've never had a cocaine habit myself, but because I'm too cheap to pay for it. You make fun of me for Jack Benny references because he's older than our parents. But this is a total Jack Benny situation. I would never develop a coke habit because it costs too much money.
Well, I had a boss, more than one actually, who was a confirmed coke addict. I saw what it did to his marriage, his professional life. He had a stroke. So there was no need to inform me about the dangers of drugs. And we work with enough artists who had a drug habit and what it did to their careers, not calling any names, where I had no desire to touch any of it. But each generation, you'll see more and more artists end up strung out or dead, like an Amy Winehouse. That's always been connected to the music industry. But this is something that's completely new to me, this whole idea of pink cocaine.
It's always shocking to me how much we know about the dangers of drugs, period. The number of artists that we know that have died at the hands of drug abuse, period. Me, I grew up and I saw what cocaine does to people. I saw crackheads. I saw individuals.
Yes.
I said to myself, no way in hell I would ever want to end up like that. And I know people who dealt drugs, and I saw what would happen to them by, getting high on their own supply. Hell no. So to me, it's shocking that now we see these artists finding even new ways to test the limits of hardcore drugs. Pink cocaine? My God, man.
Look, I can tell you a number of stories of being in the presence of Whitney Houston while she was high out of her mind on any number of drugs. We know how that story ended. It's something that's very real to me, and I don't want to oversell it, but yeah, I was there for Grammy rehearsal when I was working at the Grammys, and Whitney Houston stumbled in drunk, high, hungover, incoherent, getting ready, trying to rehearse with CeCe Winans. I remember that. I remember going to the Playboy Mansion for an album release party, and Whitney was there with Bobby Brown, and they were incoherent, high, just kind of meandering like zombies around the party. Whitney Houston was singing gospel music to herself. It was just strange behavior. We know how that story ended. I can tell you all sorts of stories of any number of artists. You can too, Tuwala.
Yeah.
I'm just really surprised that it hasn't gotten any better in the years since I've been out of the industry.
I mean, again, for this to be a new trend, and it's not just this artist Liam Payne. There's also reports that this pink cocaine is somehow tied to Diddy and some of the allegations of drug abuse that he forced on individuals. Allegedly, this pink cocaine is something that's out there now and is trending with today's artists. So it's not just Liam Payne happened upon some allegedly, and this is what no, this is what's out there now. This is the new trendy high for artists. It is sad that this is now connected to this young talented artist's death, but it is shocking that all the reports today are, what on earth is pink cocaine?
It's just the latest way for artists to end up dead. That's it. And I'm not surprised that it's connected to Diddy, because you're talking about the same basic space, that same industry, the same people who are going to the same parties. I don't know if Liam Payne ever went to a Diddy party, but the music industry is big, but it's also small. We knew each other for the most part. Oh, you worked at so-and-so. Oh, you work with so-and-so. You're going to the same parties, and the same party favors are there. And I'm not super pious or anything. I was just scared to death of using any of that stuff, because you lose control. And also, and I did know in the back of my mind, there was a predatory aspect of the industry. And when you were indulging in drugs that you don't know where they came from or who was responsible for them, then you're putting your life in someone else's hands. And that's something that I never wanted to do. I knew my limits, and my limits were alcohol. That was it. And I could pretty much control that with the bartender. We didn't have as much of an issue with GHB back in that time. It was Rohypnol, but that was not as prevalent as the stuff that's out there today.
Yeah. Wow, you took it back with Rohypnol.
Well, look, a lot of these stories in the news are awaking a lot of these memories that I have that I haven't thought about in years. The things that we had to deal with and kind of navigate on a daily basis that we didn't think were a big deal back then. That was just life and going to work. But now as you're a little bit older and you look back, you realize, no, it was a very dangerous time. And that's being borne out by the stories we're hearing about Diddy and other artists, the things that they were doing or that artists went through. And it reminds us like, yeah, I'm kind of glad that I avoided a lot of this stuff.
Oh my God, it just hit me. Another record rep that we know that had a stroke and almost OD doing cocaine. I'll tell you off there.
Okay. I think I know who you're talking about.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
It is Later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Be sure to check out Amy King on Wake Up Call tomorrow morning between 5 and 6 a.m. I know it's going to be fast. So go to sleep like right now, and then you'll be able to wake up in time because she will be talking to Colonel Nick Hague on the International Space Station. Wow. Don't miss this out of the world interview. Again, that's tomorrow morning on Wake Up Call with Amy King between 5 and 6 a.m. And of course, got to check in on you. Make sure that you're still ready to attend the pre-Halloween Later with Mo Kelly pre-Halloween soiree, which is coming up on the 30th at the Helpful Honda Studios here at iHeartMedia. I got a couple of costumes that I'm trying to choose between. I got to keep it low key because I don't want that to distract from my show, but I think I want to maybe change my costume during the show. I'm all tied up. I don't know what to do. Tawala, where are you in this?
I've already got my entire costume. I got everything ready to go. I am excited. My costume, as always, when it comes to All Hallows Eve, is a statement. I don't go all the time with a known character or anything like that. I try to make statements. I try to let my costumes be commentaries or an idea or a thought. So when you see this one, everyone is going to say, ah, damn. When you get it, I promise you, ah, damn is going to be what you say.
Well, ah, damn is what they're going to say because this week will be the last week of giveaways for passes to the soiree. So this Friday is your final opportunity to win passes. Let me say it one more time because I don't think you heard me. This Friday, for Name That Movie Called Classic, will be your final opportunity to get passes to the Later with Mo Kelly pre-Halloween soiree on October 30th. No, we're not going to give them away on the 29th. No, you can't beg for, well, you can beg. It's not going to help. You know, doesn't matter what you say on social media. People have been begging on social media. I appreciate that. I'm thankful for the interest, but we have a head count that we must stand firm on. There are going to be other people in the house who are not just attendees. We have guests who are going to be interviewed. We have people associated with the show. We have KFI personalities, and the fire marshal is very strict on how many people can be in this predefined area. And that's saying nothing of the food that we're going to have, which is going to be crowding the area, if you will. So a lot is going to be happening on the night of the 30th, and a lot is going to be happening this Friday. It is your last opportunity to win passes to the Later with Mo Kelly pre-Halloween soiree at the Helpful Honda Studios. And the only way you can get in is through the gatekeeper, Tawala Sharp. Do you have any recommendations?
Yes,
for him?
let me say this. If you have already won passes, do not call in again. We have a couple of people who try to win passes again on another night. I saw your name. You're X'd out for the second pass. I promise you that. We are keeping a tight list. If you win once, do not call in this Friday. We are being very strict. We are checking the names, checking the list, checking it twice. We want everyone to have an opportunity to come and hang out. And I get it. This is the Halloween party of the year. Damn near the Halloween party of the century. I know why you want to be there, but I'm sorry. I have got to keep a firm list.
And beyond the passes, you're going to get fed. You're going to get show swag. You may meet some people. We're going to have a wonderful time. There's going to be a post-show tour of iHeartMedia, so you get to see all the stations. I'm talking about Alt 98.7, Real 92.3. There is My FM, and there's also AM 570 LA Sports, our sports partner station. And there's so much here for you to see. Sometimes I take it for granted because I see it every single day. But if you've never seen it before, iHeart Los Angeles is a wonderful facility. We'll take you into the KFI studio so you can see all the behind the scenes, where you can see where every show is broadcast from. I'm talking about the Bill Handel Show. I'm talking about Gary and Shannon. Definitely talking about John Kobalt's show. Oh, don't forget, we got Tim Conway Jr. Who knows? He might even stop by for the Halloween show. He's only right down the street, so you never know. He could show up. And, of course, later with Mo Kelly. So we're going to take you behind the scenes so you can see it all. But the only way that you'll have a chance to enjoy any of this is to, if you haven't already, get passes for the event on October 30th. And there's only one way and only one person who's going to allow you to get into the party. That's Tuwala Sharp. So if you are mean to Tuwala, or you get out of pocket, or you try to insult him or something, I can promise you he will hang up the phone and you'll never get through again. I'm not saying, but I am just saying.
Look, you cannot leave out the fact that we have major prizes for best costume and things like that. So we definitely want you all to come in costume. We're all planning on dressing up. We want you to dress up because this is a Halloween soiree, and we want you to be there in Halloween spirit.
I can't wait to meet you. Of course, I've heard your voice. Of course, we've had fun during the game. And of course, I'm very appreciative of you continuing to support this show. But I can't wait to meet you in person. So you get to see who I am and I get to see who you are, because the show is doing well because you have continued to support it. And this is our way of saying thank you. And I can't wait to say thank you to you in person. Who knows who else is going to show up? Oh, yeah, I just got word today. We got it set up where Mark Ronner will be up in the live broadcast with us. You get to see Mark Ronner as well. All of our commentators and contributors. It's going to be a great night, and it's because of you.
This is something that we have been diligently planning behind the scenes. If you don't know, both Mo and I come from the world of entertainment, and we are used to doing things extra large when it comes to parties. So just know we are bringing everything that we know to make a party spectacular here for you. This is our gift to you. This is our opportunity to thank you for listening to us. And we truly hope you show up and show out and have a good time with us.
KFI AM 640, we are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Full bandwidth stimulation.
KFI
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live